When you got the order to report, to go to camp, how much advance warning did you have?
The notice that came to our neighborhood was dated May the 3rd, and we had to leave on May the 9th, which meant we had about 5 days. Most of us kind of knew that it was coming, so we had prepared. My mother sold her grocery store early in April, and we lived on what money she was able to get from the store. And we started to sell a lot of our furniture and our stove and refrigerator, which we couldn't take. And they were almost new, because my mother had bought them from the gas company, and we were making payments on those. She had a lot of house plants and that she loved, and she wanted them to go to people and not abandon them. So we gave a lot of our books to the schools that we were familiar with. Our elementary school was nearby, and they had to close down because we were all gone. There were no students to attend. And then we finally sold our grocery store to this young couple, Mexican-American couple in the neighborhood.
Did you get fair prices for the things you had to sell?
Not really, although I think we got better prices than most of our neighbors. Some of them, you know, people just come and say, well, I'll give you $1 for that, I'll give you $5. We had a lot of help from the principal of the elementary school and the teachers. They got their friends to come and look at things, and we got a fairly good price for everything.
So what were you allowed to take, or how much stuff were you allowed to take?
Well, we were told we could take only what we could carry, which meant possibly 2 suitcases. We were not to bring any furniture, any like mattresses, but we were told to bring sheets and pillows. We had to bring a set of dishes and utensils for each person in the family. No pets of any kind, no contraband, no guns, no knives, even kitchen knives. What we carried were 2 suitcases. We had some duffel bags and some big traveling baskets my mother had brought from Japan. So our neighbors helped us take those to the train depot. We were able to put them on.
Did you have a pet or any pets?
No, we didn't have a pet then. We did have some cats and dogs before, but we didn't have any then.
Tell me about getting to the train depot and the trip to Manzanar.
The train depot was directly under the First Street Bridge, and we lived, I would say, about 5 blocks from there. So our Mexican-American neighbors, and we walked with our suitcases to the train depot. And there were guards with rifles, standing guard, and we had to check in. They had given us family numbers, so they would call the numbers and we would check our bags in. And got on the train. The train was World War I vintage train. They had gas lights. And we had all our friends, our Mexican-American friends, and some of the neighbors who came by were able to stay and, you know, say goodbye to us. And they had us pull all the shades down so we couldn't see outside and people couldn't see inside. And the train took off. I went through the San Fernando Valley, through Palmdale, Lancaster, all the way up to Lone Pine Station, and took all day to get there.
Were there guards on the train?
There were guards on the train, yes. My nephew was 6 weeks old, and they had a doctor and a nurse that went through the trains to check on everybody.
What are your first memories of seeing Manzanar?
Well, it was dark when we got to Lone Pine Station. They told us to get off and wait for the buses to take us to Manzanar. We didn't know how far it was. It was very dark by the time we got on the buses. And they told us that the suitcases would not be unloaded until the next day, so we didn't have anything to change into when we got to Manzanar. My older brother had volunteered in March to go and help build the camp. So he met us at the entrance to the camp, and we were put through one of the barracks, and we had to register. They gave us some shots. Then we were assigned a unit in the barracks. We were all sent to Block 20, which was newly built. And my brother was able to lead us there. We did not have any flashlights, so he was the only one that carried a flashlight. And we stumbled through the camp. It's very dark, and we didn't, all the barracks looked alike because they had black tar paper on them. And we finally got to Block 20, and our unit was, I think, Building 5, Apartment 1, which had double doors. It faced north, and the room was about 20 by 25 feet. Had one oil stove in the corner and one light bulb in the center of the room. My brother had stuffed all the mattresses with hay, where all the other people had to go out in the dark and fill their own mattresses or the ticking and bring them back to their room before they could go to sleep. But ours was all done from, we had 8 cots, canvas cots, and no partitions of any kind. We all slept in one big room. When my mother got into the room, she sat down on one of the mattresses and she says, "My, what a place." And she never talked about that for many, many years afterward.
So you didn't really see the environment you were in until the next morning?
Not till the next morning.
What did you see and what were your impressions?
Well, we went out. It was a very clear day, beautiful. We saw the Sierra Nevada mountains. And somebody said something about, is that where that pioneer family coming across in the covered wagon had to go over the Sierras? And we said, yeah, we thought that was it. And someone said, how long do we have to stay here? And somebody quoted from the order to the end of the war and 6 months thereafter. But most of us were ready, were beginning to get ready to leave within a year after we were there. We waited until they rang the bell for the kitchen, or what we call a mess hall, so we could go and eat breakfast. And I can't remember what we had, but I was told that they had dried eggs for breakfast, toast, and coffee, which had saltpeter in there. And I think that was about it. I can't remember the rest.
So what kind of feelings did you have at this time about this whole relocation at your age?
Well, I was very disillusioned at the time because, I kept thinking, we're American citizens and they're doing this to us and we have no rights, nobody to speak up for us. And I had studied high school history and memorized a lot of the speeches by Patrick Henry and read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and I just couldn't understand why it was happening to us and wasn't sure what our future was going to be.